What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the weekly recap number 96. I am Jake Dunlap, CEO of Skaled. 1996, really special year. Got my driver's license. I think I had my first girlfriend. So number 96 holds a very dear place in my heart. So really appreciate everyone tuning in. Just like every single week, I'm going to give you the week breakdown, tell you what was amazing, tell you what we did, tell you what we're working on, and what you need to be thinking about as you look at the week forward. So had a great start to the week with Jake and Friends. If you haven't signed up, the link is in the comment. Sign up for Jake and Friends. It's every Monday at noon. No excuse not to make it, noon Eastern. And I've got an amazing set of guests. Every once in a while, I mix in an AMA. We get hundreds of people that show up. I had Joseph Kopser this week. Did a lot of work this week around trainings, around working with big sales organizations on their LinkedIn strategy and a lot more. So let's jump into it. So this week's Jake's Take, I want to talk about two topics. The first is something that may be a little, maybe it's taboo right now, which is hiring. Right now, I think is going to go down as one of the most all-time time for free agents. There are more people that are unemployed, and if you are a company that can afford to take a leap here, take one or two people here, it's time to start to think about hiring again. So that's my first take. I think I want everyone to really think about. The second take, and I did a talk about this before, and again, you know me, I'm going to beat this drum, is that I am telling you, I think LinkedIn's traffic, I think LinkedIn's like a top 10 site now. Like, my friends, your buyers are on LinkedIn, right? They are active. Go find them, right? So that's my Jake's Take this week. Think about hiring. Think about how you're integrating LinkedIn. I still got to keep beating this drum because people still aren't doing it. We're thinking there's a LinkedIn strategy and a call and email strategy. There is not. There's one strategy that involves these. It's just more complicated. So that's my hot take for this week. This is a fun one. So I'm going to start to do my pick of the week, which is where I see a post, something I think is interesting, and I'm going to talk you through it. So there's a really amazing woman. Her name's Madeline Mann. So big shout out to Madeline. And I'm going to drop a link to some of her posts, but I want to talk about the idea of personal branding, right? And why that matters on things like LinkedIn. So people know her for like the tangerine. So she does a lot around tangerines. It's easy to recognize. She's got some personal slogans, some catchphrases, some headlines, and that are really about her and her personality. They're unique. And so for a lot of you, you might be thinking about, how is this approachable? It's LinkedIn, it's professional, but each of you has something that like feels authentic. So think about that. Like, you know, you don't want to be the bow tie guy. I'm not a big fan of the bow tie guy because it's very obvious. But, you know, think about your own personal brand. If you like bow ties, wear bow ties. That's awesome. But again, I really think this idea of how do you stand out in the noise, and as the noise ratio continues to grow across social media platforms, how you're going to stand out. So that's my pick of the week. Check out the post in the links. This week's In the News. You know, the team pulled together, I think, a really interesting article, and it's from a company actually based here in Austin called Camp Gladiator. And Camp Gladiator implemented almost immediately this idea of virtual workout landscape. And so while other companies, you know, whether it's Orange Theory, Gold's Gym, etc., kind of waited, they did a quick pivot, right? And they went from 4,000 to 10,000 Zoom workouts a week. Local company doing local workouts. They're doing 10,000 Zoom workouts a week, right? Retained 97% of its customer base out of 80,000, has acquired 20,000 more customers in just the COVID era. So I think the key is, like, as a business or as a sales rep at a business, think about what that pivot is for you. What's the next thing that's going to happen, right? As we start to think about back to market, and take a page from Camp Gladiator. What are those little indicators that you're starting to see now? So that's what I want all of you to start to think about is, what's next? What's July going to look like? What's August going to look like? And how can you, as a salesperson, a CEO, a head of marketing or sales, how can you start to make the pivot to be successful? So big shout out to my Austin folks, Camp Gladiator, making it happen. This week's Ask Jake Anything. A lot of you are using the hashtag. Thank you for that. It's hashtag Ask Jake Anything. We scour the internet. We find the good questions. And this week, I'm going to take two questions. One from my man, Mr. Cooper, Sion Cooper. What's a good way to discover which platform your buyers are on if you don't have an audience? So a lot of people ask me this, and the easy way is to take, let's call it 50 target prospects, and just go look at each platform. Go look at Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn, and then aggregate that data. Just create a spreadsheet, names on in column A, social media platforms across columns B, C, D, E, and then I would just look at how active they are, and they're active in the last 30 days. So that's how you do it, man. You just put in a little work. It'll probably take you 3 or 4 hours, but then that's going to set your whole trajectory of where you spend time. So take the time to do that. See where your audience is. Another amazing Ask Jake Anything. This is from a DM. Looking back at the point in your career where people started to ask your opinion. How did you develop the confidence knowing your thoughts, ideas would lead to action? I feel a bit like I just jumped into the deep end and I realized, oh shit, they really took what I said seriously. So here's what everyone needs to understand. Nobody has it figured out. Nobody. Not me, not anybody else, right? We have ideas of things that were influenced from data that we've looked at, from our past experiences, and then using that to basically look forward. So for everyone out there, don't stress on it. You give your opinion. You don't always caveat. Use the data to make those decisions. So for me, early on, especially when I was younger, I was in a leadership role when I was, early 20s. I always tried to bring data with me, to make sure that I was using that. It wasn't just my gut or intuition. So amazing questions. Really thank you guys for those questions. Again, if you have sales-related, marketing-related, leadership, CEO, whatever questions, hashtag Ask Jake Anything, and I will do my best, my friends, to hit you up. All right, and last but not least, ever, is this week's challenge, this week's Get It Done challenge. So most people's network is really just a combination of your current coworkers, your previous coworkers, and maybe your frat buddies from your frat buddies from college or other places. Okay, so what I want you to do is this, right? I want to try, and I'm going to throw out maybe a couple things. One, I want you to connect with 100 people in your target audience, whatever you want that to be, this week. Connect with 100 people. You've got to start to build your audience. Audience doesn't happen from one viral post. It doesn't work like that. Audience happens from consistent building. So I want you to connect with 100 people. The second thing is I want you to post one video. My man Morgan Ingram was kind of doing a challenge. I want to double up on that. One video. Just about something that Don't worry about it, right? So that's my challenge to all of you. And do me a favor, if you do post your video, drop it in the links in the comments, tag me, and I'll make sure to hop in and give it a little bit of love. So thank you again, everyone, as we reminisce on suite number 96. I am Jake Dunlap, CEO of Skaled. I'm out.